Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Indie Diarist podcast, that's showing the human stories behind indie game development. This is your loyal Indie Diarist and host, Anthony L. Wolf, writer, narrative designer, and senior content manager in social media. You guys should know that by now. This episode is with someone who reached out very kindly, I believe, on Twitter, a student developer who's working on Mycelium Heaven. So it's going to be a really lovely, short and sweet episode just to break up all the long episodes that I've had more recently. So this should work very nicely. So that's Lorena. And you'll hear from her very soon. But before we get there, I just want to shout out to my Patreons as usual. They're amazing, and they are Finoko, Zugini, Fishbum Dev, and Peleg. You guys support me every single month, and I don't know where I'd be without you. If you two listeners want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/theindiediarist and check out all the tiers, which include exclusive content, access to video episodes, preview episodes in advance, and a lot more. So yeah, feel free to check out that or go to theindiediarist.com to find all the links. But without further ado, let's get into Indie Diary number 39. Hello everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Indie Diarist podcast, showing the human stories behind indie game development. This is your loyal Indie Diarist and host, Anthony O. Wolf, as usual, and as you'll have heard from the intro. And today with me is another amazing guest from the indie game development community, and her name is Lorena. Before I go on and ramble about this or that thing in your project and such, why don't you tell the listeners about yourself, Lorena? Just tell them a little bit about what you do, where you're based, and what you're working on right now.
Okay, so I'm Lorena. I'm from Córdoba, Spain. And right now I'm living in Granada, and I'm studying a double degree of computer science and math. And I make games. And I want to make a living out of making games someday.
Perfect. Yeah, and the fact that you're a student is going to be very interesting because I'm sure we're gonna talk about a lot of different things throughout the course of this episode. But what I like to do with these episodes is always open with a little bit of an icebreaker, because I want these little episodes to be very cozy and such. So if you could be any game's character for a day, who would you be and why?
I would have to say I'd be Ezio from Assassin's Creed.
Oh, that's a great choice. Italian. I'm Italian as well, so yeah, I can relate with that.
Yeah, I want to do like the cool jams and be like in the Assassin's Creed Italy. It looks beautiful.
Yeah. No, Assassin's Creed 2 is just amazing. Even I think it was Brotherhood. Yeah, Revelations didn't move to Turkey. But yeah, no, the Italy portrayed in Assassin's Creed 2 is just some of the best parts of Italy, definitely. I'm from the south, so I'm speaking for the rest of my country there. Yeah, totally agree. That's interesting. First time I've heard Ezio in these episodes, but he's an amazing character. So yeah, I'm not surprised one bit. So what I'd like to ask you as well, Lorena, is because I like to start from the beginning with these stories, and I like to talk about these stories from the beginning. So I want you to think back to your childhood and tell me, what is your earliest or fondest memory that has to do with video games?
I remember playing a lot of Flash games when that was a thing.
Yeah.
and then I jumped straight to Minecraft.
Okay, right.
But yes, my earliest gaming, like the thing I did, was playing on the computer, because I didn't have any like Nintendo or PlayStation, and I played like the Flash games, and I had a blast.
Yeah, well, and so you were playing just a lot of Flash games back then and such. And when you started, well, you said you moved straight to Minecraft. So do you think that actually those Flash games that you were playing at the beginning, are they kind of having an influence on the kind of work that you do right now, the kind of games that you like to develop?
Yes, I think everything you play has an impact, because like you have your references, and then you can create something new. And I really like short and fun games, and I think that shows in what I do. I try to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen the demo for Mycelium Heaven that you're developing right now, and we'll get into that. But it's just it has that perfect feel, like that kind of very short, quick games, arcadey. So I think I know where that comes from. Yeah, and well, you've moved from Flash games to Minecraft and such, and now you're studying for a double degree, as you mentioned. So, when did you realize that you wanted to make games and that you wanted to make a living out of making games? Like, was there a special moment for you?
I started having an interest in 3D and game development when I I used to watch these music videos from Minecraft. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was a popular song, and then the video clip was an animation from
Yeah.
Minecraft, and I thought that's not in game because
Mm-hmm.
the character can't move that way. How do they do that? And then
Mm-hmm.
I searched and I found out what Blender was, and I
Oh,
was
right.
like,
Okay.
I have to try that. And I tried. And then my mom bought me a course, like a really short introductive Unity course. And I was like, what? You can make video games? This is crazy. And then I never stopped. Like I started learning and I was hooked.
You know what? I had a very similar experience because at some point, like several years ago, when I was still stuck in retail, in a retail job before what I'm doing now, which is just writing, I wanted to enter the video games industry somehow. And one of the ways that I tried to enter the video games industry, because I wanted to do writing for a living back then already, I just wanted to learn more about game design and just learn about making very small games so that maybe I could enter a studio or something like that. And I started learning from these courses, these mini courses that you mentioned. Like, of course, there are a lot online, GameDev.tv, there's Udemy and such. And I had so much fun, and I was just completing one course after the other. I couldn't stop because it was so much fun. And then eventually I got to now, because I'm not doing games now, but I still like programming. I still like playing around with little games here and there. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and that feel of not wanting to stop because it's just so fun. Yeah, but I want to say, so far, is there a particular challenge when it comes to developing games that has left a mark on you, and something that you may want to share with others who may just be starting out?
One big challenge for me, I would have to say, is like time management.
Uh huh. Yeah, I've heard that before.
Because like I'm studying, so I
Mm-hmm.
have to like go to college and do my thing, and then come back home and like make a game,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a big thing. And also the all the marketing side.
Oh
I
yeah, the
guess you
marketing
hear
side.
that a lot. Like time and marketing are the two like
Yeah.
super huge challenges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, marketing and time management definitely, but marketing last year, I heard it from so many people. I did an episode out of that with like three marketing experts from the indie dev community, indie game dev community. So yeah, no, I totally see what you mean. Like, I don't know why, but I mean, I work in marketing, so to me, it is difficult, but it's also something that you can understand once you put your mind to it. But I get it that for a lot of people, it's just because you're not in the right environment, are you? Like, you're not speaking to people who know more than you, or people whom you may learn from. So marketing is just this huge beast. And well, if I may ask, in terms of marketing, what are you struggling with the most?
I struggle with being consistent because I don't see
Mm.
like results. For example, I have a TikTok, and
Uh-huh. Yeah.
then I have my final exams, and I had to stop posting every day because
All right.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
have the time. So going back, and it's hard. And also like the
Mm-hmm.
networking part, like
Uh-huh.
knowing people. Like you said, I'm studying. I don't work. I'm not in a company where I can like meet people. So I try to go to game jams and
Mm-hmm.
events here and then, but it's hard.
Yeah, it feels like you're kind of left on your alone by yourself, doesn't it? In some cases, but yeah, I mean, consistency is a big issue when it comes to posting on socials. I know that. But yeah, but other than that, I mean, it sounds like you've got some clear ideas actually. So that's I'm sure over time you will just find the right opportunities to network and just do things. But what I want to ask you is more about going onto your current project, which is Mycelium Heaven. What inspired you to work on it? Like, was there something that sparked the idea, the inspiration?
Yes, it started as a jam game.
Mm-hmm.
Like here in Spain, we have the Malaga Jam
Mm-hmm.
in Malaga. and it was in summer, and I went, and I was going to go with some friends,
Mm-hmm.
as I did like the previous editions, but they weren't going. So I
Mm.
said, well, I can go alone. I like going to jams with people because I like the opportunity to like meet new people, work as a team. But I said, well, I'll try going alone. And the theme was in the apocalypse, no,
Mm-hmm.
in the end of the world.
Okay.
And I was thinking like that was what's inspired the zombie aspect of it.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And I included mushroom because I really like them. I
Yeah.
think they're cool, and I wanted to put the zombies in a place where they were
Mm-hmm.
not like the aggressive part,
Mm-hmm.
like they were victims.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
which is an interesting concept in itself, actually. And before we go any further, actually, do you mind explaining what Mycelium Heaven is in just one sentence or something?
sure, it's a short, cute, cozy puzzle game where you're a mushroom and you eat zombies.
Yeah. Perfect. So sorry to interrupt, but I thought like for listeners would have been useful to know. But go on. So we were talking about zombies being the victims and not the ones the ones eating, which in itself is a very cute concept.
Yeah, I thought that was fun, and then I wanted to make like something with logic, and I played Baba Is You like recently, and I thought that's the perfect opportunity to challenge myself to design puzzles, because puzzle design is it's heavy.
Yeah, puzzle design is. I can imagine it's a bit difficult. So yeah, but how like I understand it's difficult. How do you find solutions for puzzle design? Like, what is your personal process to design puzzles?
I tried to either teach something in each puzzle,
Mm-hmm.
and that those are usually easier to
Yeah.
make because you're like, okay, I have to teach what this does, so I'll make a
Mm-hmm.
puzzle where the only solution is you have to do this, and then
Mm-hmm.
you learn it.
Yeah.
And others, I try to go with a concept, like, well, the concept of this one is like it's split in half, for
Uh
example,
huh. Okay.
and then and some of them come up, they come up spontaneously, like you're moving things around and you say, oh, this emerging thing is cool,
Mm-hmm.
this could be a puzzle, and then you very a lot of trial and error for me, and for this in particular like set of rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I suppose the puzzle design in itself is very difficult because before you try it out, you don't know if it's actually as difficult as you were thinking it was, um, or as challenging or as engaging as you were thinking it would be. So yeah, I imagine it's a challenge in itself,
I
especially in a puzzle game.
Yes, I always start with a notebook, and I
Mm-hmm.
like sketch out the puzzle, and then the final puzzle never has nothing to do with the start.
Yeah, well, I guess with your game it's particularly easy because you've got a grid and like you can just see things very visually. You've got very set blocks and spaces in Mycelium Heaven, um, so yeah, I guess that makes things easier, but not necessarily because, as you say, like in the end, the end puzzle might look something completely different from what you had in paper. So yeah, as you say, it's a lot about trial and error and such. Um, but yeah, so I'm curious about one thing. So when first off, when do you think you're going to be ready to release Mycelium Heaven? If you already have a date in mind, and if you want to talk about it.
This year for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and if everything goes well, by May
Mm-hmm.
it will be
Okay.
finished. But my plan is when the game is totally ready,
Mm-hmm.
set a month and publish it. Like, imagine if I finish it today, then on
Mm-hmm.
the 23rd of next month
Mm-hmm.
I'll publish it. So I have time like to reach out and
Right.
like
Mm-hmm.
do a little bit more of marketing.
Marketing, yeah, and try and get
But
people
this
to.
year for sure.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. And well, so it sounds like you're almost done then with with the development of the game. Is there, if you could go back, is there something, anything that you would change about how you developed this game?
All, all, all of the code, all of the
Okay.
the beginning, because it was a jam game. and I
Uh-huh.
wasn't going to make it a long game. So
Yeah.
the code
Oh yeah, so the foundation is pretty crappy, I
spaghetti
suppose.
is I mean, I have to I had to go back to fix bugs and all that. And when I read it, it's like,
Oh no.
I wrote this and I'm ashamed.
Yeah, but you still had to build on those foundations, I suppose. So you didn't refactor the whole thing. You just
No,
went with it
I
and you
kept
tried.
going forward. Like
Oh
I was
wow,
like,
yeah.
it doesn't have that many mechanics, so I have
Hmm.
to do it again. I'm pushing through and finishing it.
Wow. Yeah, I imagine that that was a challenge at some point. But yeah, I mean, at least it's a learning for with the next game. You can design it a bit more cleanly from the start. But yeah, so well, I guess we haven't really touched on this topic, and so I would like to ask you in a very clean way. Why are you a game developer? Like, what is it that drives you forward? Why did you choose to make games for a living?
I really like the challenge about game
Mhm.
development, and
Mhm.
the fact that it's a very complete challenge,
Mhm.
because you have to know about lots and lots of
Mhm.
things, and I always discover new things that I didn't know that I had to know.
Mhm.
For example, in this project, I'm focusing a lot of on the most commercial part, like,
Mhm.
but every day you learn a lot, and I really like learning, and I really like feeling
I
the
see.
feeling that
Mhm.
I'm getting things new and fresh,
Mhm.
and also the game part, like the
Mhm.
game design. I find that fascinating, and I truly think that's for me. Like when I learn a new thing about game design, I'm
Yeah,
like,
game design is amazing.
that's for me, and I have to do this, and this is what I have
Mhm.
to do.
Yeah, no, it makes sense then. I guess it's just that it makes sense for you. It's something that makes you happy. But I like what you said about learning because yeah, it is true. Like game development is not only an art, but it's just constant learning, and that's what makes it special. So yeah, I totally agree with you there. And the opposite of that is, what do you think drives you backwards? Like, what would be your biggest struggle as an indie developer?
Right now, it will be that I know that when I finish my my degree, I probably have to work on something else
Mm-hmm.
and work at this part time, because getting straight out of college and finding a job in the industry is hard.
It's yeah, it's but to be fair, you would have My Asylum Heaven under your belt, and probably, and I saw from your itch page that you have developed a bunch of other small games. So yeah, I mean, who knows? Might be that someone sees your value straight away. At the same time, I see what you mean, though. It's hard. And just out of curiosity, what is game development like in Spain? As in, do you have any help from the government, any funds and whatnot that you know of?
There are some helps that
Mm-hmm.
and some funds that they give you, but you have to be a freelancer, I think it's called.
All right, okay.
And I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
because if I'm not like making any money, it's not worth it to be paying to be a freelancer. So I
Mm-hmm.
can't up to that funds.
Yeah,
But
okay.
there are, but the indie industry in Spain is, it's struggling.
Struggling, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
it's, but I guess that that's the case for a lot of countries.
It's true, like the games industry in general is yeah, it's not in a great state right now, I would say. It's looking pretty bad, pretty much across the board, even in AAA, especially in AAA. I had an interview just recently with someone who said that maybe because of all these struggles, maybe we're going to see a resurgence of indies yet again, in indie studios, because so many thousands of people are just losing their jobs in the industry, and that will probably lead to new studios being founded. So, if anything, there will be more competition, but at the same time, indie game developers, the community will get bigger, which is always a positive. But yeah, I get what you mean. I suppose, and let's not even get into the topic of Italy, because being a developer there is just impossible. Um, And I guess in terms of being an indie developer, do you ever feel lonely or discouraged? And if you do, how do you cope with that? Especially after saying that it's a struggle in Spain.
I don't really feel lonely because on the working, like the actually making the game, I like working alone.
Okay.
And I'm
Perfect.
like on my own doing my thing, and when I need feedback, like I forcefully put my game in front of some friend.
Mm.
And when I need help, I have friends. There are lots of groups, and people are actually really nice, and they
Mm-hmm.
always like. When I had recently something about the Steam Next Fest,
Mm-hmm.
and it was my first time, and I had to ask.
Mm.
Everyone was so nice, and they explain things to you, and you're not really alone.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, it's a great thing. Right, so we're almost there. It's almost time to wrap up. But I have one more question for you, and then two that will probably be fun, or I hope they will be. One is, do you have any heroes in the industry? Is there anyone you look up to?
Here in Spain, I really like the work of Renato and Aquiles.
Okay,
They,
that's a name I didn't
they
know.
yeah, they're from the like I met them in Malaga Jam,
Mm-hmm.
and they're really cool. They make really cool games. You should check them out.
Okay, I will definitely. Yeah. Okay.
And I don't think I really have any like big name other than that. But
Okay,
I really look up to
that's
them because they're like around my age, and
uh
they
huh.
make really cool things. And
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know, I really like them.
No, that's a very really good reason. Like, you empathize with them and you connect with them because of being of similar ages, and also they do really cool stuff. I will definitely check them out because it sounds like yeah. Well, if there's someone's hero or someone that you really look up to, then they definitely have some value. Okay, well then I think our time is almost up. But before we go, I want to ask you a couple more questions, which one of which is, I would say, imagine writing a letter to yourself, but back when you were starting playing Flash games. What would you say?
Whoa, that's a heavy question. About game development or just like in general? Because
In
I
general,
was
knowing what.
like probably 7 or 6.
Okay, yeah, well, I would say maybe in general, knowing what you know now and knowing that you would be speaking to a 7-year-old. So, yeah.
I don't know. I probably tell her that she keeps doing her thing, that
Mm-hmm.
she's going to be fine, and that just she has fun.
Okay. Having fun is the most important bit, yeah. Especially when you're
Yeah.
7. Don't want to think about all that adult stuff. Yeah. Right. And lastly, if you had unlimited budget and time, what game would you create?
I would love to make. Okay, hear me out. A
Yeah.
game about lesbian pirates in space,
All right. Okay.
like
That's an interesting
what?
hook.
Or a musical game. I was thinking about that recently, like the spirit of a musical theater,
Mm-hmm.
but made into a game with original songs and all that. But of course, budget and time.
Budget
So
and
if I
time.
had
Yeah.
that, oof, a musical about lesbian pirates,
That
perfect.
sounds perfect. Yeah, that sounds super fun. Yeah, I would definitely play something like that. And rhythm games. I mean, wow. Yeah, now I'm always fascinated by how they make rhythm games because you have to be so pixel perfect with certain things. Um, yeah, and when they sync, and even when they're not rhythm games, maybe if they sync, maybe the scenario or the design or the boss battle to the music, it's just so fascinating every single time.
And when games
Yeah.
have like original music, I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
two pieces of art that I can enjoy in one. I really like that.
Yeah. No, the game design does put together. Game development does put together a lot of different arts, which is what a lot of people love about them. So yeah. But yeah, okay. Well, I guess that's all the questions that I had for you, Lorena. And thank you so much for being part of the show. Thank you for accepting to come onto the show. Mycelium Heaven looks so cute and cozy. And actually, I do hope that you get to do that game about lesbian pirates, because I think it would be super fun and a lot of people would enjoy it. So, as parting words, where can other people find you? And if they do, what is the best way to support you?
You can find me on Twitter or X as 3D Goblin Dev, and on TikTok, and wishlist Mycelium Heaven, and that's it.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you so much again for your time, Lorena. It's been beautiful, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And good luck with Mycelium Heaven too. I'm sure people are going to love it. So yeah. That's a wrap on another episode of the Indie Diaries podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to Lorena, who's been such an amazing guest to have on the show. I truly, truly wish you all the best, and I'm sure you will succeed at everything you do, from Mycelium Heaven to your studies and everything that may come in between. So yeah, thank you again. Listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show. You can find it on all the main podcasting platforms. If you're not subscribed already, please do. If you are subscribed, please feel free to leave a rating. 5 stars, 4 stars, maybe not 1 star, but 5 stars always helps, and it pleases the gods of the algorithm, so that more people can find these beautiful stories from the indie game development community. If you want to support the show in any way, you can go to theindiediaries.com and find links to Patreon, my social media, even links to the Discord if you want to join the Indie Diaries community, which is growing, and it is increasingly more wholesome by the day. So I'm sure you will have a great time if you join us over there. Other than that, well, yeah, I hope you enjoyed. And yes, you can also go on patreon.com/theindiediarist if you want to support the show in any way that is not I follow on social media, and maybe with a bit more, with a bit of money as well, because that does help a lot. Every little thing counts. And you will see all the tiers that I have on offer there that start from as little as £1.25 per month. So, if you're an indie game developer yourself, please get in touch, because I would love to tell your story to my listeners who are scattered all around the world and are always hungry for new stories from the community. So I'll speak to you next time.